The biting winds of the Dragontooth Mountains howl outside, but within the city of Highspire, the Festival of Lights offers a warm reprieve. You four strangers drawn by fate and the promise of coin stand before the legendary Silver Comet Guildhall. The flyer you each hold promised a contract of unusual difficulty. As the city bells toll the evening hour, the massive doors groan open, revealing a veteran commander whose grin looks like a jagged cliff. Rolf stands like a fortress gate in human form. Scars map a history of violence across his exposed skin, but it is the left side of his face that draws the eye, replaced by cold iron and a glowing red ocular implant that whirs faintly as it focuses on you. The massive warhammer he calls Grudge leans against his shoulder with practiced ease, its head pitted from countless impacts. He doesn't just look at you, he calculates your threat level.
Right then, you're the ones for the unusual difficulty contract. Stand tall, giant. The rest of you, show me your mettle. This isn't a parade.
Lux steps forward with a warm smile, her silver lightning bolts embroidered on her black robe glinting in the light, and says, "Greetings, Commander Rolf. I am Lux, and I'm here with my friends to take on this challenge of unusual difficulty. We're eager to learn more about the contract and how we can help."
Lux steps forward, her presence radiating warmth against the cold stone of the Guildhall. She addresses the commander with a hopeful smile, seeking to bridge the gap between his hardened exterior and her optimistic spirit.
Metal, Rolf grunts, his cybernetic eye whirring as it scans Lux. Tell me, Lux, what makes you think your optimism will overcome the gnashing horrors waiting in the Whisperwind Peaks?
The heavy silence of the Guildhall hangs in the balance for a heartbeat, then shatters, not with violence, but with a rusty, grating chuckle from the commander. Lux's unyielding brightness seems to pierce his armored exterior, reminding the veteran of a time before he was half metal. He leans back, resting Grudge against the stone hearth, his posture shifting from interrogation to acceptance. The commander's cybernetic eye whirs, the aperture tightening as it scrutinizes every inch of Lux's expression. He looks for a crack in the porcelain of her optimism, a flinch of fear, but finds only ironclad joy. The tension in the room breaks with his low, gravelly chuckle, a sound like tectonic plates shifting. He leans back, resting Grudge easily against his hip. You haven't just charmed him, you've earned his attention.
I nod approvingly at Lux. Optimism with a spine, eh? Good, you'll need it. The Whisperin' Peaks aren't a pleasure stroll. Come closer, all of you. Time to see what you're truly up against. All right then, you want to know the details of unusual difficulty. It starts in the Whisperwind Peaks.
Denia steps closer to the wall, her keen elven eyes tracing the faded ink lines of the map. The parchment is old, brittle at the edges, and depicts the treacherous spine of the Whisperwind Peaks. One location, the Silent Observatory, is circled aggressively in red, looking less like a destination and more like a warning. Notes scrawled in charcoal speak of vanishing patrols and screams from the deep.
I point a callous finger at the Silent Observatory on the map. That's your destination, or what's left of it. The mining operations ceased there weeks ago. Patrols went quiet, now just screams from the deep.
He gazes at the map, me eyes tracing the contour of the Whisperwind Peaks, and then focus on Commander Rolf. Tell me, Commander, what do you know of these screams from the deep? What kind of darkness are we walking into, and what can we expect to find at the Seal Observatory?
Screams that tear through rock and sanity, elf, not human. We sent miners, soldiers, they sent back silence and that noise. What you'll find at the observatory is whatever made the screams stop, and it won't be friendly.
Garion steps closer, his gaze steady on Commander Rolf, then briefly sweeps over the marked point on the map. Screams that tear through rock speak of more than mere beasts, Commander. Does any elder lore, any whisper from the deep earth, speak of what could twist the mountain's voice so foully? What kind of dark sorcery or forgotten entity could inflict such a wound upon the land?
Lore won't break its teeth, giant. It's a wound that screams and you're the bandage, or the blade.
Commander, your words suggest a depth of knowledge that you're not sharing. I implore you, for the sake of our mission and the lives at stake, tell us what you know. What darkness are we facing, and what can we expect to find at the Seal Observatory?
Velvet's gaze narrows slightly as she listens to Commander Rolf's sparse details, her mind already racing with strategies and potential threats. She steps forward, her voice smooth and calculating. Commander Rolf, it seems we're dealing with an unknown entity capable of silencing patrols and eliciting screams from the Earth itself. Before we embark on this mission, I must know, what resources will be at our disposal? Are there any allies or safe houses in the vicinity that we can rely on, or will we be walking into the Whisperwind Peaks alone and unaided?
Resources, you're looking at them, anything else you earn. There are no safe houses up there, just you, the mountain, and whatever makes the screams.
I smile warmly at Commander Rolf, my eyes filled with determination, and say, "Thank you, Commander, for sharing what you know. We'll face whatever darkness is plaguing the Whisperwind Peaks with courage and unity. I propose we discuss our strategy and how we can best support each other on this perilous journey."
I agree with Lux. A united front is our strongest asset against the unknown. Let us pool our knowledge and skills to strategize our approach. Garien, your understanding of the Earth and its whispers could prove invaluable. Velvet, your stealth and ranged capability will be crucial in scouting and potentially disarming trap. Lux, your divine magic can offer us protection and healing. As for myself, my illusion and shadow blade can provide both offense and defense. Together, we can face whatever darkness awaits us.
Indeed, a unified strategy will be our greatest advantage. I suggest we prioritize scouting and reconnaissance, utilizing my stealth capabilities to gather intelligence on the silent observatory and its surroundings. Meanwhile, Denier, your illusions could prove invaluable in creating decoys or disguises, should we need to sneak past or deceive any potential enemies. Garien, your knowledge of the Earth's whispers may alert us to hidden dangers or secret passages. And Lux, your divine magic will undoubtedly be a beacon of hope in the darkness. Let us move with precision and deadly grace, for in the shadows, that is where our true power lies.
Rolf listens to your counsel of war, the ghost of a smile touching his scarred lips. He stamps the contract with a heavy iron seal and slides it across the table. Plans solid. Now execute it. The warmth of the Silver Comet Guildhall is soon a distant memory, replaced by the biting, razor-sharp winds of the Whisperwind Peaks. The trek is grueling, the air thinning with every step. You arrive at the frozen trailhead, where the path narrows dangerously. Above you, looming through the driving snow, sits the silent observatory, dark, jagged, and ominously quiet.
I nod approvingly, then point a calloused finger towards the massive Guildhall doors.
Garien eyes the path, a ribbon of treacherous ice clinging to the mountainside like a scar. The wind here isn't just weather, it's a physical weight, pushing against his massive frame. Fresh snow obliterates any sign of recent passage, leaving the trail pristine and terrifyingly empty. Above, the silent observatory waits, a dark smudge against the endless grey, watching your approach with stony indifference.
Garien plants the point of one ice axe firmly into the glittering ice, testing the purchase with his massive frame with practiced ease. He sweeps his gaze over the treacherous ascent, then with a deep breath, begins to move, his other axe following to secure a path. Each deliberate step is measured, his senses attuned to the subtle shifts and whispers of the ancient stone beneath the deceptive snow and wind-scoured ice.
The mountain answers the giant's challenge with a groan of deep ice shifting under weight. The wind howls like a wounded beast, tearing at your cloaks, attempting to throw you from the narrow ledge. Garien, your blood sings with the memory of high places, but the path ahead is slick with frozen mist and malice. Garien reads the mountain like a familiar verse. Where the snow hides hollows, he plants a warning flag. Where the ice is thin, he carves a new foothold. With a final, muscle-straining heave, he crests the ridge, hauling the rest of you onto the wind-blasted plateau. The silent observatory stands before you, a monolith of dark stone and frosted iron against the twilight sky. The silence here is unnatural. Even the wind seems afraid to howl. Velvet steps up to the barrier, her breath misting against the freezing metal. The doors are sheer cliffs of iron, reinforced with bands of adamantine that gleam faintly under layers of ancient ice. There are no conventional handles, only a complex circular mechanism in the center, currently frozen solid. Near the base, beneath the rime, you spot deep, frantic gouges in the metal, as if something, or someone, once tried desperately to claw their way inside. Lux closes her eyes, tuning out the physical bite of the wind to listen to the spiritual echo of the place. The silence of the courtyard is deceptive. To your inner ear, it is deafening with the residue of panic. The cold fades, replaced by a sudden, overwhelming wave of betrayal. The miner didn't die fighting a beast from the mountain. They died begging to be let back in.
Betrayer's chill runs down me spine as he whisper, what horror could drive a soul to such desperation?
Denia kneels in the snow, brushing away a layer of rime from the corpse. It is a dwarven miner, his beard an icicle-stiff mask. The horror is in the details. There are no claw marks, no burns, no signs of battle on his back. His injuries are all on his hands, fingernails torn away, fingertips bloody and raw where he frantically clawed at the stone beneath him, trying to dig or hold on. He didn't die fighting a monster. He died pounding on the door, freezing inches from safety. A small, leather-bound book protrudes from his stiff jacket pocket, preserved by the unnatural cold. Velvet's nimble fingers work the frozen leather, the binding cracking like dry bone as she forces the journal open. The early entries speak of mundane quotas and ore veins, but the tone shifts abruptly in the final week to paranoia and headaches. The last page reveals the grim truth of the dwarf's demise. He wasn't killed by a monster, but by a quarantine. The garrison inside the observatory sealed the great iron doors to contain something, the song, and left their own kin to freeze rather than risk infection. He died pounding on the door, not to escape the mine, but because he was locked out of his only shelter.
Modality, text, content. I glance around at my companions, my voice barely above a whisper as I speak. It seems we've uncovered a darker truth than we initially thought. The miner's journal suggests a quarantine, and whatever is inside, the soldiers were willing to leave their own to die rather than risk contamination. We must proceed with caution, for we do not know what kind of enemy we are facing or what kind of danger the song poses.
I couldn't agree more, Velvet. Caution is wise, but let's not forget the spark of hope that brought us here. Whatever darkness we face, it's in the shadows that our light can shine brightest. Shall we proceed with careful hearts and open minds, ready to face whatever lies within?
Quarantine or not, the problem's behind that door. What's the plan to crack it open?
The commander surveys the sealed entrance and the frozen dead with a grim finality. My place is coordinating the extraction, not kicking down doors. I'll secure the trail at the base camp. If you find what killed these men, kill it back. With a heavy crunch of boots on snow, Rolf turns and marches back into the howling wind, his form quickly swallowed by the storm, leaving you alone with the silence of the observatory.
Garion strides to the great iron doors, his massive hand sweeping over the adamantine bands, feeling the deep chill of the metal. He focuses on the complex, circular mechanism, the delicate gears hidden beneath layers of thick rime. He plants the tip of one ice axe against the frozen seal, not to break it, but to listen. Then, with a low hum that vibrates through his chest and into the stone, he begins to channel the subtle, thawing breath of the earth into the ice, coaxing it to release its hold on the intricate lock, rather than shatter it.
Let us proceed with caution, Garien. Your connection to the earth may be the key to unlocking the seal without triggering any potential trap. I'll prepare en illusion, ready to create a distraction if needed, while you work on the mechanism.
I draw my gaze from the frozen miner, my eyes locking onto the great iron doors as Garion begins to work on the mechanism. My voice is low and cautious. Let's be mindful of our surroundings. If there are traps or guards inside, we don't want to alert them prematurely. Garion, how long do you estimate it will take to unlock the mechanism? I move closer, my hand on the hilt of my weapon, ready for any unexpected outcome.
The mountain moves not by force, but by patience and truth, Garion rumbles, his voice a low vibration. The ice must be coaxed, not shattered. Give me a few breaths, perhaps a handful of moments. The gears will yield when the cold's grip is truly broken.
The wind drops to a respectful whisper as Garion places his palms against the adamantine bands. He does not push. Instead, he hums a low, grinding note that resonates with the stone beneath the snow. The thick layers of ice coating the mechanism begin to vibrate, spiderweb fractures appearing as the frost is coaxed to release its centuries-old grip. Behind him, Denaya's fingers dance with shadowy potential, and Velvet scans the silent ramparts, every muscle coiled for the unknown. The low hum in Garion's chest amplifies, matching the resonant frequency of the ancient metal. For a heartbeat, the world holds its breath. Then, with a sound like a cracking glacier, the thick ice encasing the mechanism shatters into 1,000 glittering diamonds. The adamantine gears groan, turning for the first time in weeks, and the great iron doors swing inward with a heavy, earth-shaking shudder, revealing a cavernous, unlit hallway that smells of stale air and old blood. You peer into the gloom of the observatory. The air inside is stagnant, tasting of copper and ozone. It is a scene of desecration. The grand statues of stargazers lining the walls have been decapitated, their stone heads smashed into rubble on the floor. Debris overturned crates, frozen rations, and rusted pikes clutters the path, remnants of a garrison that turned on itself. Deep in the darkness at the far end of the hall, a soft, violet light pulses with a slow, hypnotic rhythm, like a dying heartbeat beckoning you forward. Lux steps closer to the wreckage, the holy symbol at her neck gleaming faintly against the gloom. These were not casualties of time or tremors, they were executions. The statues, noble figures of ancient stargazers, have been methodically beheaded, their stone faces pulverized into gravel. The violence is specific and hateful, implying that whatever roams these halls despises being watched. Garion peers into the abyss of the hallway. The light is not a fire or a lantern. It is a rhythmic, throbbing luminescence that seems to breathe. It washes over the shattered stone in waves of deep amethyst, syncing with the beating of your own heart. It is beautiful, terrible, and impossibly deep, a beacon calling from the throat of the mountain. Denaya lowers her mental shields, and the silence shatters. The violet light is not illumination. It is sound condensed into a physical form, a psionic residue of the song. It tastes like copper and hysteria. A vision seizes you. Imperial soldiers, weeping blood, taking hammers to the statues not out of malice, but sheer terror. They were trying to blind the observatory. The pulse carries a lingering, infectious directive that gnaws at the edges of your sanity. The sky is an eye, blind it before it sees you.
I take a deep breath, focusing on the vision that seized me, trying to understand the desperation and terror that drove the Imperial soldier to such action. The sky is en eye, I whisper, my voice barely audible over the howling wind. Blind it before it sees you, the words echo in my mind, a haunting prophecy that speaks of horror beyond our comprehension. I glance at my companion, my eyes locking onto theirs, searching for a shared understanding of the danger that lay ahead. We must proceed with caution, for we are not just facing a physical enemy, but a psychological one that threatens to unravel our very sanity.
The prophecy hangs in the freezing air, heavier than the snow. As Denaya speaks the words, the violet pulse at the far end of the hall flares, a single, sharp contraction, like a pupil reacting to a sudden flash. The silence that follows is thick with paranoia. The sensation of being watched intensifies, prickling at the back of everyone's neck. The shattered statues now look less like vandalism, and more like a desperate attempt to hide from a gaze that comes from everywhere at once.
Denaya, your words echo the whispers of the wind, a warning of the unseen terrors that await us. Let us indeed tread with caution, but let us not forget the light that guides us, even in the darkest of places. I raise my staff, and a warm, golden light begins to emanate from it, gently pushing back against the violet gloom.
Light indeed. This eye sounds unnatural to the deep earth.
I shall weave a shield of protection around us, I say, my voice filled with a gentle warmth, a beacon of hope to ward off the darkness that seeks to unravel our sanity. I begin to chant a soft, melodious prayer, and a soothing aura of golden light emanates from my staff, enveloping my companions and myself in a protective barrier.
Lux raises her staff, her voice rising in a clear, defiant note. She attempts to weave a barrier of holy light to push back the maddening rhythm of the violet pulse.
Lux, wait. The pulse isn't something to be attacked, it's a symptom of a greater issue. What if your light makes it worse?
Lux, beware, your spell may attract unwanted attention.
Lux's prayer manifests as a dome of shimmering gold, a defiant sphere of warmth against the crushing dark. The magic holds, but the observatory reacts instantly. The violet pulse spasms, turning a sickly, bruised color, and a psychic shriek tears through your minds, ITSEES. It sees the light has not just repelled the darkness, it has summoned its victims. Shuffling from the alcoves, dragging rusted weapons, the remnants of the garrison emerge. They do not look at you, they cannot. But they turn their ruined, bandaged faces toward the light, drawn like moths to a consuming flame. From the deepest recess of the hallway, a hulking shape detaches itself from the darkness. It moves with a terrifying, silent grace, its head cocked to the side as if listening to the very heartbeat of the light itself. The figure steps into the edge of Lux's golden dome, a towering soldier in a tattered, frost-rimed uniform. Where a face should be, there are only thick, frozen bandages, stained old and dark. It sniffs the air, tasting the ozone of magic, and raises a heavy, rusted blade toward the source of the brilliance.
The lightning scent, it screams, it sees.
I narrow my eyes, my gaze darting between the emerging blinded soldier and the blinded sentinel, my voice low and alert. We've got company, and they're not here to make friends. Lux, your light's drawn them in, but it may also be our best deterrent. Denier, can you weave an illusion to keep them at bay? Guardian, let's form a defensive line and be prepared for anything.
He can create a series of illusions too confuse and disorient our enemy, making it difficult for them to pinpoint our exact position. With a flick of my wrist, I'll summon a flurry of mirror images, each one a perfect replica of myself, to dance around the area and buy us some time. Let us form a defensive line, as Garien suggested, and be prepared to strike when the moment is right.
The stone will hold firm, Garion rumbles, his voice deep and steady, already shifting his stance, axes ready. They may be blind, but they are not deaf. We will meet their rage with Earth's unwavering strength.
My light may have drawn them in, but it will also protect us. Let us stand strong, my friends, and face whatever darkness approaches. I'll maintain the light to keep them at bay, and if needed, I can call upon the heavens for a more powerful display.
The time for whispers has passed. As Velvet calls out the positions and Garion plants his feet like the roots of the mountain, the blinded react. They do not move like men, but like marionettes jerked by invisible strings. The soldier at the entrance raises his rifle, the barrel trembling as he tracks the sound of Velvet's voice. To the east, the sentinel's head snaps toward Lux's light, a low growl building in his throat. The air grows heavy with the scent of ozone and old blood. Draw your weapons.
MMMHHHN, the orders, push, we pushed, did we win, is it over?
With a guttural roar that sounds like grinding stone, the sentinel lunges through the gloom. The heavy, rusted blade of corroded judgment whistles through the air, chopping down towards the brilliance of Lux's shield.
Garion lets out a deep, resonant growl, a sound like grinding glaciers. He moves with surprising speed for his size, planting his massive form directly between Lux and the lunging sentinel. His twin ice axes flash in the ambient light, and with a guttural roar, he brings them both down in a sweeping, powerful arc toward the blinded sentinel, channeling the biting cold of a mountain gale through the steel.
Garion steps into the arc of the sentinel's blow, the ground trembling under his weight. With a roar like a cracking glacier, he drives his axes forward to meet the rusted steel. The impact is thunderous. Garian's axes crash through the sentinel's guard, the enchanted ice biting deep into the frost-rimed armor. There is a sickening crunch of frozen metal and bone, and the creature staggers back, its bandaged head snapping toward the source of the pain. It hisses, a sound like steam escaping a fissure. The corridor erupts in blinding white light. Lux's bolt screams through the air, carrying the fury of a storm compressed into a single line. It strikes the sentinel dead center, and the impact is absolute. There is no resistance, only the instant sublimation of frost, flesh, and rusted steel. The creature is unmade in a thunderous crack that shakes the mountain's roots, leaving only drifting ash. At the entrance, the blinded soldier, witnessing this divine wrath, drops his ghostly rifle in terror and dissolves back into the shadows, his loop broken by fear. The silence returns, heavy and smelling of ozone.
I'm not fond of leaving potential threats lurking in the shadows, I say, my eyes scanning the darkness where the blinded soldier vanished. That rifle could still find its way into unwanted hands. Let's ensure we don't have any surprises waiting for us down the line. I begin to move cautiously towards the spot where the soldier disappeared, my senses heightened, ready to track down and neutralize the potential threat.
The echoes of the thunderstrike fade, leaving a ringing silence that presses against your eardrums. Velvet moves like smoke toward the alcove where the soldier stood, her silhouette cutting through the gloom. The darkness there is absolute, but upon the ground, the weapon he discarded remains, a twisted amalgamation of metal and cold magic. Faint, disturbed trails in the frost laid deeper into the observatory's throat.
Be the Ansi Oaks, let us not underestimate the cunning of the blind.
Velvet's instincts take over. The shadows try to hide the soldier's path, but the frost betrays him. She spots the subtle crunch of snow, the drag of a heavy boot, and finally, the telltale sign. Droplets of black, viscous fluid frozen mid-drip on the stone. He didn't just vanish, he retreated. The trail winds past the discarded rifle and ends abruptly at a heavy bulkhead door labeled Auxiliary Control. It sits slightly ajar, and a faint, rhythmic thrumming vibrates through the gap. Velvet kneels beside the discarded weapon. It is a heavy, bolt-action carbine of Imperial make, but it has been modified by madness. The scope is smashed, the iron sights filed down to nothing, rendered useless for aiming. Yet the barrel radiates a sickly heat. The chamber is etched with crude runes that allow the weapon to seek heat or sound rather than sight. It is a tool for the blind, designed to kill what it cannot see.
I'll take this, I say, swiftly picking up the abandoned Imperial rifle and examining it more closely. I tuck the rifle into my shoulder, feeling its weight and familiarizing myself with its modified design, ready to use it if needed.
The rifle is heavier than it looks, dense with the weight of cold iron and solidified dread. As you tuck it into your shoulder, the crude runes etched into the barrel flare with a sickly violet light. You feel a strange sensation behind your eyes, not sight but a thermal echo, a synesthetic hum that maps the heat of your companions against the freezing air. The weapon doesn't just aim, it hunts.
I turn to my companions, my eyes shining with a mix of concern and determination, and say, we should be cautious about what's behind that auxiliary control door. The trail of the blinded soldier and the modifications on this rifle suggest we're dealing with something more complex than just blind enemies. Let's proceed with care, and perhaps we should consider how to utilize the abilities we have to scout ahead or prepare for potential threats.
I couldn't agree more, Lux. Caution is key here. I've got the rifle and with its unique modifications I can provide overwatch while we proceed. Denier, your illusions could prove invaluable in scouting ahead without alerting whatever is behind that door. Guardian, your strength will be our backbone if things go sour. Let's move with precision, shall we?
Indeed, let us proceed with the caution and strategy that our unique abilities afford us. He can create a series of illusions to scoot ahead, allowing us to gather information without exposing ourselves to immediate danger. With a flick of my wrist, a shadowy duplicate of myself can precede us, testing the waters as it were, and reporting back through our shared ant. Shall we begin, with Velvet's Overwatch and Guardian's formidable defense at the ready?
Guardian inclines his massive head, a low rumble in his chest confirming his attention. The plan has merit. Denier's illusions will be our eyes, and Velvet's hunting rifle will hold the line. I will be the mountain's root, holding firm against whatever unnatural thing lurks behind that humming door. This rhythmic pulse, this twisting of sight and sound, it is an affront to the earth itself. I will clear the path. He shifts his weight, the twin ice axes held ready.
Let us proceed then with caution and harmony. May our unique gifts intertwine like the threads of a rich tapestry, protecting us from the shadows and guiding us toward the light that awaits. I offer a warm, reassuring smile, my eyes sparkling with optimism.
Agreement settles over the group like frost. Guardian forms a living wall, while Velvet sights the strange rifle, its runes humming in sync with the distant pulse. Lux stands ready, her light a beacon. Denier weaves her fingers, and a silent, grayscale reflection of herself detaches from her form. The illusion glides soundlessly to the auxiliary control door and slips inside. For a moment, Denier's eyes glaze over as her consciousness splits, seeing what the shadow sees.
I focus me mind, recalling the detail me illusion has gathered from within the auxiliary control room. Friand, bicotu, I whisper, me voice barely audible over the gentle arm of the pulse. Me shadow has seen an ambush waiting for us. Let us proceed with strategy, using our unique ability to outmaneuver whatever danger lie ahead.
An ambush, you say? How delightful, I do adore a good challenge. Tell me, Denier, what exactly did your shadow see? How many and what kind of dangers are we looking at? I raise an eyebrow, my interest piqued, as I adjust the sightless marksman's rifle against my shoulder.
Speak clearly, Denier. The earth grants no quarter for the unprepared. What stones rise against us within?
Guardian kicks the bulkhead wide, the iron screeching in protest. The team floods into the auxiliary control room, weapons raised. The air here is thick, tasting of copper and static. Denier's warning was prescient. Behind a stack of crate-sized capacitors, the fleeing blinded soldier has taken cover, his rifle leveled at the door, but he is not alone. At the central console, a figure draped in heavy rubber robes turns. Wires run directly from its eye sockets into the machine, pulsing with violet light. It screams, a digital screech of static, and slams a fist onto a glowing rune. The figure draped in heavy rubber robes turns from the console, with a stiff, unnatural jerk. Violet light spills from the sockets where eyes once were, now replaced by thick data cables that snake back into the humming machinery. The air pressure drops suddenly, the taste of ozone turning metallic as the technician's head snaps toward the doorway, locking onto you not with sight, but with a terrifying, data-driven awareness.
Unauthorized ocular input detected, initiating purge.
Terror overrides discipline. The blinded soldier shrieks, squeezing the trigger of his carbine until his knuckles turn white. The weapon kicks violently, spraying a chaotic hail of lead across the room toward Lux. The technician's head snaps back, and a soundless, data-rich scream erupts from its throat. A ripple of violet distortion blasts through the air, bypassing armor to strike directly at Lux's mind. The soldier's aim is frantic but true. The spray of blade chews through Lux's defenses, drawing blood. At the same instant, the technician's silent scream drills into her skull, bypassing her physical armor entirely. She must fortify her mind or be overwhelmed by the data surge. The silent scream washes over Lux, a torrent of corrupt data trying to overwrite her thoughts. But her mind is a fortress of light. She grits her teeth, her aura flaring gold to burn away the violet static. She bleeds from the bullet wound, but her eyes remain clear and defiant, the technician's invasive signal shattering against her will. Denia invokes the ancient rhythm, her silhouette blurring with arcane speed as she focuses her magical prowess against the blinded soldier. The ancient elven melody resonates through Denia's very being, accelerating her movements into a blur. She weaves effortlessly through the chaotic spray of bullets, closing the distance in a heartbeat. With a graceful pivot, she lashes out. Her shadow blade bites deep into the blinded soldier's shoulder, forcing a pained, static-filled gasp from his lungs. Denia gracefully disengages, fluidly shifting her stance to take advantage of nearby concealment. Her form seems to shatter into residual images as she retreats, leaving the blinded soldier swinging his rifle butt at empty air. She slides into the cover of the violet steam, a phantom in the machine's heart.
A fitting end, don't you think? I murmur, a hint of a smile on my lips as I raise the sightless marksman's rifle, its runes humming in sync with the violet pulse around us. With a swift, precise motion, I take aim at the blinded soldier, the rifle's unique modifications allowing me to pinpoint my target through the thermal echoes and sounds rather than sight. The blind leading the blind, indeed. Let's see if this enlightened rifle can find its mark. I squeeze the trigger, the rifle kicking slightly as it fires, its bullet seeking out the blinded soldier with an otherworldly precision.
Velvet tracks the target not with her eyes, but with the rifle's cold, arcane intuition. The weapon hums against her shoulder, locking onto the blinded soldier's heat signature through the gloom. Guided by the rifle's sightless intuition, the bullet weaves through the steam and shadows. It strikes with lethal finality, punching through the blinded soldier's chest plate. He crumples without a sound, his rifle clattering to the metal floor as the violet light in his augmentations flickers and dies.
My body spasms, a violent twitch as the data stream from the blinded soldier abruptly terminates. A low, distorted whine escapes my vocalizers, a momentary glitch in the otherwise perfect signal.
Velvet melts into the shadows of the machinery, her silken movements making no sound against the cold metal floor. She presses her back against a heavy bank of capacitors, effectively vanishing from the open ground. The hum of the facility masks her breathing as she readies the rifle for its next target.
I'll show you the true meaning of enlightenment, I exclaim, my voice ringing through the control room as I raise my hands. A burst of golden light erupts from my fingertips, and I unleash a mighty lightning bolt at the blinded technician. Fry hard and stay out of my mind, I declare, my magic coursing with the intent to not only destroy the technician's mechanical augmentations, but to also cleanse its systems of any invasive presence. With a swift, decisive motion, I channel the storm's fury into a precise, electrifying strike.
Lux channels her pain into blinding light, the air screaming as she unleashes the storm. A lance of golden electricity tears across the room, seeking to purge the corruption from the machine. The air shrieks as Lux's lightning strikes true. It is not just a bolt, but a cascade of golden judgment that travels along the data cables, overloading the technician's profane augmentations. With a final, distorted wail, the cyborg spasms violently and collapses against the console, smoke rising from his scorched rubber robes. The room falls silent, save for the crackle of cooling ozone and the rhythmic thrum of the now unguarded machine.
With a gentle smile, I lift my voice in the melody of mending, letting its soothing harmony fill the smoky air of the auxiliary control room. As I sing, I pronounce a heartfelt Shehech'Anu, a prayer of gratitude for the arrival of this new season of hope and light, where darkness has been vanquished by our unity and courage.
The ozone-filled air softens as Lux's voice rises, weaving a melody of gratitude and restoration. She channels her divine spark to mend the ravages of the battle. As Lux attempts to weave the melody of mending, the lingering violet static in the room reacts violently with her divine energy. Instead of soothing warmth, a sharp feedback loop snaps against her aura, causing a jolt of pain rather than relief. The hum of the facility drops to a low, waiting thrum as the blinded technician's cooling fans spin down. Silence returns to the auxiliary control room, save for the crackle of ozone and the heavy breathing of the survivors. The battle is won, but the machine's corruption runs deep.
Garian's massive frame moves with surprising gentleness towards Lux, the icy cold of his axes momentarily forgotten. He kneels, a deep rumble vibrating in his chest, a sound born of the deep earth. Placing a hand, broad as a flagstone, on Lux's shoulder, he closes his eyes. The mountain's breath is pure, he murmurs, his voice a low, melodic chant. It will not be tainted by this false song. A faint, earthy glow emanates from his hand, a warmth like sun-warmed stone spreading through Lux's wounds, drawing out the lingering static and mending flesh with the quiet strength of the enduring rock.
Garian invokes the deep, resonant power of the stone, seeking to ground Lux's chaotic energies and knit her wounds with the patience of the earth. The air hums with a low frequency, vibrating in your chests. Garian's connection to the deep earth acts as a lightning rod for the chaotic energies. The violet static that lashed out at Lux flows harmlessly into him and down into the metal floor, grounded by his unshakable presence. A warm, amber light pulses from his palm, knitting flesh and soothing the psychic burn with the slow, steady rhythm of a mountain's heart.
I am in your debt, Giant One, I say, my voice filled with heartfelt gratitude as I gently place a hand on Garian's massive arm, looking up at him with a warm smile. Your healing touch has soothed not just my wounds, but my spirit as well. May the light of the world reflect the warmth and kindness you've shown me.
Garian, the earth endures, we mend.
I emerge from the shadows, my eyes locking onto the console where the blinded technician once stood. With a fluid motion, I approach the terminal, my gaze scanning the screens and levers. Now that our immediate threats are neutralized, let's uncover what secrets this facility holds, I say, my voice low and calculated. Perhaps the answers we seek are hidden within the console's data or the technician's personal logs.
No response. The wrecked technician is destroyed, its systems dark.
Indeed, unraveling the mystery of this console could uncover the truth behind the sinister force at play. Let us proceed with caution, for the secret we uncover may be more than we bargained for.
With a final, erratic spark, the blinded technician's remaining systems capitulate to the damage. The violet glow in its ocular implant stutters and vanishes, plunging the cyborg into true, inanimate darkness. The active threat is gone, leaving only a scorched husk upon the metal floor. The blinded soldier's final spasm racks his frame before the augmentations wind down into silence. The violet light behind his shattered visor pulses once, a desperate signal to a network that no longer answers, and then fades to black. He becomes part of the facility's grim architecture, a silent heap of metal and flesh cooling on the deck.
I gaz at the console, me eyes narrowing as I consider the potential secret hold. Let us proceed with caution, me friand, I caution, for the truth we uncover may be more than we bargained for. Velvet, your skills in uncovering hidden information would be most useful here. Garien, your strength and looks, your healing capability, stand ready in case of any unexpected danger. I will prepare en illusion, a mirror image of myself, to distract any potential threats, should they arise from the console's activation.
Wise counsel, Denier. I'll begin by examining the console's exterior, searching for any hidden mechanisms or clues that might reveal its secrets. Let's proceed with the elegance of a summer breeze, shall we?
The adrenaline of combat fades, replaced by the heavy, rhythmic thrum of the mountain facility. While Garian's earthen magic settles Lux's spirit, Denia weaves defensive illusions, her form fracturing into protective echoes that stand vigil around the room. Velvet steps up to the central console, where the dead technician's data cylinder still rests. The screens flicker with incomprehensible violet streams, waiting for a deciphering touch. Velvet's fingers dance across the rune keys, bypassing the corrupted biometric locks. The console whines, then relents. The static clears to reveal a final, frantic log entry scrolling across the crystal display. It seems the garrison didn't go mad from isolation. They went mad from what they saw looking back at them from the heavens. The technician's data cylinder ejects from the port with a hiss of pressurized steam. Velvet lifts the cylinder from its port. It is heavier than it looks, cold enough to numb the fingertips through gloves, and vibrating with a low, sick frequency. Inside the thick glass, a shard of pitch-black crystal, perhaps a piece of the star they found, hangs suspended in a stasis field. As you turn it, the brass runes etched along the rim shift and rearrange themselves, forming a warning in a dialect of Celestial that has been butchered and rewritten. Do not let it see you seeing it.
I lift the data cylinder, feeling its eerie weight and the low hum of the stasis field. My eyes are drawn to the warning etched into the brass. Do not let it see you seeing it. I turn to my companions, a mixture of curiosity and caution in my voice. It seems we've uncovered more than just a simple log entry. This data cylinder holds the key to understanding the true horror that drove the garrison mad. But at what cost? The warning is clear. We must tread carefully, lest we fall prey to the same abyss that consumed them.
Velvet, your caution is well advised, but I must confess that my curiosity is piqued. This warning seems almost otherworldly. I feel an inexplicable sense of hope, even in the face of such an ominous message. Perhaps it's the optimist in me, but I believe that by uncovering the truth, we may find a way to bring light to the darkness that has consumed this place. Smiling softly.
Let us indeed tread with caution, for the whispers of the unknown can be as treacherous as the shadows ye weave. Yet, I sense that the truth hidden within this data cylinder is crucial to unraveling the mystery of this forsaken place. Lux, your optimism is a beacon in the darkness, and I propose that we proceed with the examination, but with the utmost care, lest we invite the very horror we seek to vanquish.
Garian steps forward, his gaze fixed on the data cylinder in Velvet's hand, particularly the black crystal within. A low growl rumbles in his chest, a sound of unease rather than anger. This warning, it is of the deepest ill omen, he states, his voice heavy. The earth remembers many things, but a thing that must not be seen seeing, that is a twisting of reality, an inversion of the very laws of the sky and stone. If it truly preys on sight, then it is a hunger of the mind, a corruption that reaches beyond flesh. We should not gaze upon it lightly, nor allow it to gaze upon us. What law speaks of such a void-spawned abomination, velvet? Have your shadowed paths ever crossed such a malevolence? He subtly shifts his grip on his ice axes, a protective instinct stirring.
The shadows I've walked have indeed whispered tales of such eldritch horrors, Garian. In the hidden annals of our clan, there are stories of entities that feed on perception, warping reality to satiate their hunger. They are the silences between the stars, the darkness that gazes back. I've never thought to cross paths with one, but it seems fate has other plans. This cylinder, this warning, it speaks of a terror beyond our comprehension, one that defies the very fabric of our existence. Velvet's voice drops to a whisper, her purple eyes glinting with a mixture of fascination and trepidation.
As the consensus to proceed settles among you, Velvet manipulate the brass rings of the cylinder. The warning glyphs flare with a warning heat, then dissolve. The device spins up with a sound like a dying breath, projecting a jagged, violet hologram into the air above the console. It is not just a log, it is a recording of the observatory's final night. The room darkens and the shadows stretch unnaturally, as if leaning in to watch. Velvet's mind is a fortress. As the biofeedback surges, she recognizes the psychic frequency and grounds it, exhaling a sharp breath of cold air as the pain dissipates harmlessly. The cylinder, sensing a worthy operator, stabilizes. The violet static clears, and the holographic map expands, projecting a complex 3D schematic of the mountain's interior. A jagged line of red light traces a path down the main elevator shaft, deep into the bedrock, terminating at a massive, spherical chamber labeled the Deep Lens. Velvet's gaze follows the violet wireframe structure as it rotates slowly in the smoky air. The map reveals that the Whisperwind Observatory is merely the tip of an iceberg. The true facility lies buried kilometers beneath the granite. A main arterial elevator shaft, currently marked offline, descends past the frozen mining levels, terminating in a massive, spherical void deep within the planetary crust. This chamber, labeled the Deep Lens, pulses with a rhythmic, warning red light. Orbiting this subterranean sphere is a frantic cluster of data points marked Anomaly Detection, the Watching Star. The path is clear. To understand the madness above, you must descend into the abyss below.
I glance at my companions, my voice low and calculated as I speak. The path ahead is clear, but the risks are palpable. We must proceed with caution, for the depths of this mountain hold secrets and dangers beyond our wildest imaginations. The Deep Lens, this subterranean sphere, seems to be the heart of the mystery. I propose we prepare ourselves for the descent, ensuring we are equipped for the unknown challenges that lie within the darkness of the abyss.
I nod solemnly, my hands tightening on the grips of my ice axes.
The heavy silence of the control room is broken by the console's deep, resonant chime, as if the machine itself acknowledges Velvet's resolve. The holographic display shifts in response to her proximity and the cylinder's authority. The angry red offline tag hovering over the main elevator shaft on the map begins to pulse with a waiting amber light, offering a prompt, initialize descent sequence. The shadows in the corners seem to retreat slightly, pushed back by the party's unified determination.
May the light guide us downward into the depths of the unknowns. I take a deep breath, my eyes fixed on the amber light of the elevator shaft as I begin to sing a gentle melody, a hymn of hope and protection. The song is meant to bolster our spirits and shield us from the unknown dangers that lie ahead as we prepare to descend into the depths of the mountain.
The mountain's heart answers your call, Lux. Beneath us, the ancient stone awaits. We will walk it unbowed.
Let us indeed walk with resolve, mi friend, for the abyss below holds no terror for those who face it with courage and unity. Lux, your melody is a beacon of hope. May it guide us through the shadow and protect us from the unknown danger that lie in wait.
The console accepts Velvet's command with a final, decisive chime. Sequence initiated. The facility groans, a deep, tectonic rumble that vibrates through the soles of your boots as ancient machinery wakes from a century-long slumber. At the far end of the room, the great iron doors, sealed for generations, shudder and begin to part. Dust and ice fall from the frame as the heavy adamantine valves slide open, revealing the main arterial elevator. A massive, open-air industrial platform suspended over an unfathomable darkness. The air rushing up from the shaft smells of stale ozone and something metallic, like old blood. The way to the deep lens is open. You stand upon the precipice of the abyss. The main elevator shaft is a monumental scar in the mountain's heart, a vertical tunnel of concrete and steel that drops into infinite blackness. The platform itself is a heavy grid of adamantine grating, suspended by 4 chains thick as tree trunks. Cold air rushes up from the depths, carrying the scent of ozone and ancient dust. To your right, a maintenance catwalk clings precariously to the wall. The only light comes from the rhythmic pulse of amber emergency strobes, which cast long, rotating shadows that seem to dance along the rusted pipes.
I gaze out into the abyss, the darkness seeming to press in around us. My voice is barely above a whisper as I speak. The descent begins. Let us be mindful of our surroundings and prepared for any eventuality. The elevator's controls are likely linked to the console we accessed earlier. I will attempt to interface with the elevator's systems to ensure a stable and controlled descent. I move towards the elevator control lever, my eyes scanning the area for any signs of malfunction or hidden dangers.
Very well, Velvet. As you attend tout de contrôle, ich shall prepare a defensive illusion, creating multiple reflections of ourselves to confuse any potential threats that may arise during our descent. Let us proceed with caution, for the depths of this mountain hold many secrets, and not all of them may be friendly.
Garion moves with deliberate, measured steps towards one of the massive chains holding the platform, placing a massive hand upon its cold, rusted links. His eyes, keen even in the dim, strobing light, scan the colossal shaft below. A deep, resonant hum vibrates from his chest, a sound that seems to echo the groaning of the ancient machinery. The roots of the mountain run deep, he rumbles, his voice carrying a reassuring steadiness. This descent will not break the stone. I will stand with the earth beneath our feet, a shield against the hungry dark.
Your words are a beacon of strength, Garion, a reminder that even in the darkest depths, there is always a foundation to stand upon. May your connection to the earth guide us safely through this journey, and may our combined lights illuminate the path ahead. Smiling warmly.
The party spreads out across the cold metal grid. Denia weaves her hands through the air, and 3 illusory duplicates shimmer into existence around her, mimicking her every breath. Garion plants his feet like roots, his massive hand gripping the rusted chain with a force that rivals the iron itself. Lux's light pushes back the encroaching shadows, revealing the sheer, terrifying drop beneath your boots. Velvet approaches the control station, where the heavy lever waits, locked in position and encrusted with decades of ice. Velvet's movements are a blur of precision. With a single, calculated strike of a knife hilt, she shatters the glacial rime sealing the mechanism. She grips the cold iron and throws the lever down. A deafening clank echoes through the shaft as the locking clamps disengage. For a heartbeat, there is weightlessness. Then, with a groan of protesting metal, the massive platform lurches downward. The great iron doors recede above you, shrinking into a rectangle of light as you plunge into the crushing dark of the mountain's throat.
Garion's grip on the ancient chain tightens further, his knuckles bone-white against the rusted metal. The plunge into the abyss causes his massive frame to sway slightly, but he plants his feet wider, refusing to yield to the momentum. He closes his eyes for a moment, letting the rushing air and the deep, grinding roar of the descent wash over him. The cold gives way to a warmer, heavier air, thick with the scent of raw ore and something primal. He feels the mountain's heartbeat around them, vast and indifferent. Opening his eyes, he looks at his companions, his voice a low, steady rumble that cuts through the wind. The stone speaks of great depths and ancient heat. The mountain holds us now. We are its roots, unmoving even in this fall.
Garion's voice anchors the group against the vertigo of the drop. As if in response to his recognition, the vibration of the platform sinks with a deeper rhythm, a low-frequency thrum that you feel in your teeth and bones. The air transforms. The biting chill of the surface is replaced by a suffocating, dry heat rising from the abyss. The scent of ozone intensifies, mixing with the metallic tang of ancient, overheating machinery. Far below, a singular point of violet light swells in the darkness, watching your descent like an unblinking eye.
The abyss gazes back, it seems.
Oh, blessed light, what wonder or terror approaches.
The depths of the mountain seem to be unfolding their darkest secret before us, and that violet glow. It feels like the very essence of the abyss is watching our descent.
Denia leans over the railing, her elf eyes piercing the gloom. The anomaly is no mere lantern in the dark, it is the destination itself. Miles below, the shaft opens up into a colossal spherical geode embedded in the planetary crust. The deep lens is alive with a rhythmic, violet luminescence that distorts the very air around it, creating waves of gravity that ripple up the shaft like heat haze. It pulses with a slow, hypnotic beat, thrum-thrum. Thrum-thrum that resonates in your chest cavity. It is not just a machine, it looks dangerously like a waking eye.
As I gaze into the abyss, the violet glow of the deep lens seems to be calling to me, its rhythmic pulse echoing the beat of my own heart. I feel an inexplicable sense of connection to this ancient, mysterious entity, as if the light that guides me is being drawn to the darkness that lies within. With a gentle smile, I begin to sing a soft, hymn-like melody, one that speaks of hope and unity in the face of the unknown. My voice carries on the wind, a beacon of light in the darkness, as I say, "Let us not fear what lies ahead, for we stand together, a testament to the power of unity and determination." The deep lens may hold secrets and terrors beyond our wildest imagination, but with our combined strength and the light that guides us, I have faith that we shall emerge triumphant, our bond and our hearts unbroken.
Your melody is a balm to our soul, Lux, a reminder that even in the darkest depths there is always hope. As we stand at the threshold of this ancient, mysterious entity, he shall prepare a spell of revelation, one that will allow us to uncover the secret of the deep lens, and perhaps the truth behind the ominous warning that echoes through the data cylinder.
Garion, his voice a deep rumble, resonating with the platform's descent. Lux, your song reaches the Earth's deep heart, a comfort against the unknown pulse. Denia, let your revelation be swift and true. This eye of the abyss may watch, but the stone beneath us is ancient, unblinking. It has seen countless stars rise and fall, and it does not yield. We are its guardians now, and we will not flinch.
I narrow my eyes, focusing on the approaching deep lens, my mind racing with strategies and potential threats. As we draw closer, let us be prepared for anything. Our unity and determination will be our greatest strengths in the face of the unknown, I say, my voice low and calculated, as I begin to scan our surroundings, searching for any hidden dangers or clues that might aid us in our descent.
Indeed, Velvet preparation is key. As we descend into the heart of this enigmatic entity, he shall maintain my illusion, ensuring that our reflections are ever ready to confuse and distract any potential threats. Let us proceed with caution, yet unwavering in our resolve, for the secret of the deep lens are within our grasp.
Lux's hymn fades into the shrieking of braking hydraulics as the elevator decelerates, fighting the pull of the abyss. The violet light swells until it is blinding, washing out all shadows and bathing your armor in amethyst hues. With a bone-jarring impact that rattles your teeth, the platform clamps onto a rusted service gantry suspended over a sea of magma far below. Before you looms the deep lens, a moon-sized construct of crystal and iron, pulsing like a dying heart. The air is sweltering, tasting of ozone and static. You have reached the bottom of the world. You step to the edge of the gantry, the heat radiating off the object below singing your eyebrows. The deep lens is not merely a machine, it is a captive moon. Its surface is a chaotic landscape of jagged amethyst crystals, fused with ancient, blackened industrial piping that looks like veins. Deep beneath the translucent shell, something moves, titanic gears turning in a slurry of violet light. It doesn't just hum, it breathes. A wave of psychic pressure washes over you with every pulse, a heavy, telepathic heartbeat that tastes of copper and forgotten memories. It is awake, and it knows you are here. You wipe a layer of vitrified ash from the console's surface, revealing cold, dark metal beneath. The interface is surprisingly active. The central quartz screen flickers, with cascading streams of violet geometry and ancient star charts that shift too fast for the naked eye to follow. The machinery hums with a physical weight, vibrating against your fingertips in sync with the massive heartbeat of the deep lens below. A blinking prompt in the center of the screen awaits input, though the dialect is a complex weave of arcane sigils and mathematical ciphers.
I focus my attention on the interface console, my mind racing with the possibilities of what secrets it might hold. With a calculated precision, I begin to examine the arcane sigils and mathematical ciphers, searching for a pattern or a clue that could help me bypass the ancient encryption and unlock the stabilization protocols of the deep lens.
Velvet leans over the console, the violet light casting sharp shadows across her focused expression. The streams of data are chaotic, a shifting labyrinth of dead languages and mathematical impossibilities, but she begins to trace the underlying rhythm.
Be the whispers of the forest, Velvet, beware the rhythm you seek to unravel, lest it unravels you instead.
Velvet's mind syncs with the ancient rhythm. It is not a language of words, but of orbital mechanics and stellar drift. With a final, precise keystroke, she isolates the carrier wave. The console's violent flickering ceases, replaced by a steady, low-frequency hum. The screen clears, revealing the core stabilization protocols, a delicate labyrinth of logic that now awaits a master's touch to realign.
I turn to my companions, my eyes locking onto theirs as I speak in a hushed, urgent tone. The stabilization protocols are within our grasp. We must align the harmonic resonance to stabilize the deep lens and unlock its secrets. But we must act swiftly, for the longer we delay, the greater the risk of catastrophic failure.
Then let us not tarry, for the balance of the abyss hang in the balance. I shall maintain my illusion, ready to adapt and defend against any unforeseen threats that may arise as we align the harmonic resonance. Proceed with caution, Velvet, and may our combined arcane prowess guide us through this delicate process.
May our unity and the light that guides us illuminate the path to harmony, and may our hearts remain steadfast in the face of the unknown, for together we can overcome even the most daunting challenges.
Velvet's fingers dance across the holographic keys, initiating the resonance sequence. The deep lens responds instantly, not with compliance, but with a psychic shriek that echoes in your minds like tearing metal. The entity is reacting to the intrusion like an infection. From the faceted surface of the moon-sized machine, shards of living crystal detach and drift silently through the void, landing on the gantry with a heavy, metallic thud. They unfold into jagged, hovering sentinels, their cores glowing with hostile energy. The stabilization process has triggered the immune system. The scattered shards jerk upward, drawn together by an invisible magnetic force. With a sharp, resonant crack, they fuse into a floating geometry of amethyst and hate. The air around the entity distorts, heavy like psychic static. It rotates slowly, its burning core fixing upon you with cold calculation. This is not a creature of flesh, it is a weapon lens.
A low, disorienting hum resonates directly within your minds, a frequency that vibrates into threats to unravel lesser thoughts.
A second tremor shapes that platform, distincting the lens's heartbeat. From the shadows, a hulking massive orgy of stone emerges into the light. It moves with a terrifying, stuttering speed, crack thud, defying the fluid grace of living things. Crystal Sentinel Beta grinds to a halt, its faceless, hollow interior shimmering with a cold, predatory intelligence.
RSSHHH. RSSHHH.
With a swift motion, irresolute, and a burst of arcane energy erupt, creating a dazzling display of mirror images that surround them, making it difficult for the crystal sentinel to determine the real target. As he do this, he speaks in a clear, commanding voice. Let us begin our defense, mi friend. Garien, Lux, Velvet, take position and prepare to face these crystalline guardians. We will need all our strength and cunning to overcome them.
Denia weaves a harmonic phrase, her outline shivering as 3 illusory doppelgangers spin out from her body to confuse the enemy. The air shimmers violently around Denia as the spell takes hold. Space folds in on itself, and in the blink of an eye, 3 illusory duplicates spin out from her form. Now 4 bladesingers stand on the gantry, shifting and weaving in perfect synchronization, their shadow blades leaving trails of darkness. The crystal sentinel's humming frequency stutters, a dissonant screech of confusion as their targeting logic struggles to distinguish the real elf from the echoes. With an agile movement, Denia gracefully sidesteps and dips, finding immediate cover behind the heavy bulk of the control console. Her keen eyes still scan the battlefield, her 3 illusory duplicates crouching in perfect unison to confuse the enemy.
I gently raise my hands, and a warm, soothing light begins to emanate from my fingertips, illuminating the darkened space around us. With a gentle smile, I say, "May the light of hope and unity guide us through this challenge. I will provide healing and support to my companions, and together we shall overcome the crystalline guardians."
The oppressive violet gloom recoils as Lux becomes a beacon of pure, golden radiance. Her light is not cold like the crystals, but warm and alive, casting long, dancing shadows against the rusted machinery. The air around her hums with a soothing resonance that clashes violently with the psychic static of the deep lens.
Kararrsshhh, Kararrsshhh. The internal light of my geode core dims, shrinking from Lux's radiance.
The air around Lux crackles with pent-up energy, the sharp scent of ozone cutting through the sulfurous heat of the magma below. The lightning bolt is primed, a tether of arclight waiting to be unleashed. The crystal sentinels loom ahead, Alpha with its orbiting shards, Beta with its grinding geode limbs. The storm awaits your command. The air screams as Crystal Sentinel Beta defies the laws of motion. With a harsh crack thud, it glitches out of existence at the far end of the chamber and rematerializes instantaneously beside Lux. The displacement of air creates a shockwave, and the construct's jagged limb swings down, targeting the source of the blinding light that offends its core. The displacement of air is followed instantly by the crunch of impact. Crystal Sentinel Beta's heavy, geode-encrusted limb connects with Lux's side, hitting with the force of a falling boulder. Her protective radiance shatters like glass under the blow, and she is thrown hard against the rusted railing of the gantry, gasping for air as her light flickers dangerously low.
I swiftly move into position, my eyes locking onto Crystal Sentinel Beta as I raise my crossbow, taking aim at the construct's core. With a calm, calculated tone, I say, "Your assault on Lux will not go unpunished. Prepare to face the precision of a shinobi."
Velvet's movements are a blur of silk and shadow as she levels her crossbow. Her eyes narrow, locking onto the exposed geode core of the construct looming over Lux. Velvet's aim is true. The bolt whistles through the steam and slams into the hollow chest of the sentinel. Violet shards spray outward as the geode armor cracks, exposing the pulsing light within. The construct staggers back, its humming frequency rising in a screech of damaged logic.
My crystalline body grinds, shudders, and lurches, an amplified, distorted KRRSSSHHH, KRRRCRACSSSHHH, as its movements become erratic. My incandescent core rotates, fixing upon Denia, and a higher frequency hum vibrates through the gantry, calculating vectors and probabilities.
The psychic quiet was a deception. Combat is fully engaged. Crystal Sentinel Alpha rotates its burning core, calculating a firing solution on Denia. A jagged shard of violet crystal launches at high velocity, but the Bladesinger's illusory duplicates confuse the construct's aim. The projectile screams past the real Denia, smashing into the console behind her. The enemy is unrelenting. Garion, the floor trembles beneath your feet. It is your turn.
A guttural roar rumbles in Garion's chest, a sound of the Earth's defiance. He moves with surprising speed for his size, a blur of immense power as he closes the distance to Lux. His twin ice axes gleam as he brings them down in a crushing arc, channeling the fury of a winter gale through the blades as he aims for the already fractured crystal sentinel beater. You wound the light bringer. Now feel the mountain's wrath.
The metal grating groans under Garion's charge. He closes the distance in 3 massive strides, the air temperature plummeting around him. With a roar that shakes the gantry, he brings his twin axes down in a brutal, frost-rimed arc, aiming to shatter the already fractured construct. The twin axes strike with the weight of a collapsing mountain. There is no resistance, only the agonizing shriek of fracturing stone as Garion cleaves through the geode core. Crystal Sentinel Beater disintegrates into a pile of smoking, inert rubble. Across the gantry, the remaining sentinel shudders, its harmonic link severed. With a dissonant whine, Alpha's core flickers and dies, the construct collapsing into a dormant heap of crystal. The psychic screaming of the deep lens fades to a sullen, rhythmic thrum. Silence returns to the gantry, save for the ragged breathing of the wounded.
I gently raise my hands, and a soothing light emanates from my fingertips as I begin to sing a gentle melody, focusing my healing energy on my own wounds to stabilize my condition and ensure I can continue to support my companions.
Lux channels divine energy into her broken form, her voice trembling slightly as she sings the melody of restoration. The golden light flows from her fingertips, seeking to mend what was shattered.
No, Lux, not with the lightning bolt. Your healing energy is what's needed now.
Lux reaches deep for the divine spark to mend her broken body, but the psychic interference of the deep lens twists the prayer. The healing light doesn't soothe, it detonates. A resonant feedback loop screams through the gantry, turning her restoration into a searing supernova of uncontrolled energy. She is lifted from the floor, suspended in a blinding flash that banishes the shadows, before crashing down, silent, smoking, and still. The sentinels are dark, the battle is won, but the cost hangs heavy in the ozone-filled air.
Oh dear Lux, please, do not leave us. I must check if you still have a pulse. I call upon the arcane art to bond the fabric of time. I whisper, meet eyes fixed on Lux's lifeless form. Let the threads of chronology unravel, that he might relieve the moment of reprayer and alter its course. With a swift gesture, he invoked the stuttering rhythm of time itself, seeking to chant the destructive energy of the prayer back upon itself, undoing the devastating feedback loop that has befallen me, dear friend. Turn back, O fleeting moment, and let us retry the healing melody, that Lux may yet be spared.
The air screams as Denia forces her will upon the timeline. The blinding flash that consumed Lux stutters, freezing in place like a paused projection. The psychic static of the deep lens roars in protest, fighting to keep the catastrophic event anchored in reality. You feel the heavy, gelatinous resistance of time, a physical weight against your mind, as you attempt to drag the moment back from the abyss.
Lux's smoke-filled form flickers, her voice a barely audible whisper, Denia, no, don't.
By the shadows, Denia's audacity is breathtaking.
A low, rumbling groan escapes Garian's chest, a sound of deep earth disquiet as Denia strains against the weave of time.
The laws of causality scream in protest. For a heartbeat, the world dissolves into static. Then, with a deafening slurp of imploding air, the catastrophe rewinds. The blinding supernova that consumed Lux shrinks, curling backward from fire to smoke, from smoke to light, until it snaps back into her chest with a harmless pop. The psychic feedback from the deep lens is shunted into the void, dissipating in a spray of harmless violet sparks. Lux gasps, the air rushing back into her lungs, the catastrophic timeline successfully overwritten.
Gasp, oh dear friends, I think I'm okay, that was quite a jolt. Panting, thank you, Denia, your quick thinking saved me.
A low, disorienting hum begins to rebuild its frequency, no longer fully dormant. Its violet crystals were recalibrating. Temporal anomaly detected, previous variables invalidated, re-evaluating threat probability. Increased.
The strain of rewriting the moment leaves Denia trembling, but not from fear, from revelation. She has looked past the veil of illusion and seen the raw, ticking machinery of causality itself. The weave is no longer just energy to be shaped, but a sequence of events to be ordered. The desperate need to save Lux has unlocked a forbidden door in her mind, and the rhythm of time now pulses in her veins alongside her heartbeat, waiting to be commanded.
My core spins rapidly, shifting from orange to a deep, analytical violet as it processes Denia's new signature.
The silence of victory is shattered by a sound felt in the teeth rather than the ears, a rising, dissonant whine. Crystal Sentinel Alpha does not simply wake, it reacts to the violation of causality. The air around it distorts, heavy with the static of the deep lens, as if the machine is tasting the residual temporal magic Denia left behind. Its core burns with a calculated, hateful intelligence, locking onto the source of the anomaly.
KRRSSHHH, Denia identified as primary threat. Temporal manipulation detected. Elimination protocols override all other directives. Target lock confirmed.
Denia doubles over, coughing violently. The taste of ozone and stale time fills her mouth, the cost of defying causality. She reaches out with a trembling hand to touch Lux's shoulder. The devastating wounds from the timeline that was are gone, replaced by the weary bruises of the timeline that is. Lux is breathing, her heart beating a frantic but steady rhythm. She is alive 810 HP. But the reprieve is short-lived. The humming of Crystal Sentinel Alpha rises to a piercing shriek, its targeting crystals locking onto the elf who dared to edit the universe.
Denia, I don't understand what just happened. One moment I was trying to heal and the next. I look at my hands in disbelief. Thank you for saving me, I owe you one. I smile weakly at Denia.
Temporal violation confirmed. Variable Denia an anomaly. Correction initiated.
With a swift motion, he raised me on, and a burst of arcane energy erupted, creating a dazzling display of mirror images that surround me, making it difficult for Crystal Sentinel Alpha to determine the real target. As he do this, he speak in a clear, commanding voice. Let us begin our defense, mi friend. Garien, Lux, Velvet, take position and prepare to face this crystalline guardian. We will need all our strength and cunning to overcome it.
Arcane geometry fractures the air around the Bladesinger. With a command of twisted light, Denia's form shudders and splits. One elf becomes four, each duplicate weaving in a dizzying, overlapping dance that defies the Sentinel's targeting logic. The gantry is suddenly crowded with illusions.
Dissonance detected. Identity variable Denia fractionalized, recalibrating, probability matrix shifting.
The weave responds to your command, fracturing the light around you. 3 perfect duplicates materialize, shifting and overlapping with your movements in a dizzying display. Crystal Sentinel Alpha's core whirs aggressively, its violet eye twitching as it fails to distinguish the mage from the mirage. The defense is set. Velvet, the sentinel, is fixated on Denaya's illusions, its flank exposed. You have the initiative.
My orbiting violet crystals grind with a high-pitched whine, their internal light flickering erratically as the target lock system fails.
Velvet levels the heavy rifle, her posture shifting instantly from acrobat to sniper. The weapon hums with cold energy as she lines up the shot against the distracted sentinel. Velvet's aim is impeccable. The heavy rifle kicks against her shoulder, sending a streak of cold ozone cutting through the steam. The round impacts the sentinel's flank, shattering a defensive crystal plate and burying itself deep within the construct's chassis. The machine staggers, its humming frequency glitching into a painful screech of static as internal lights flicker wildly. With the grace of a shadow, Velvet fluidly drops behind a nearby obstacle, her form momentarily vanishing from sight as she seeks tactical advantage. Ignoring the sparks flying from its own shattered chassis, the Sentinel's core screams with a high-pitched, tooth-aching frequency. It focuses every ounce of its remaining processing power into a directed beam of psychic static, aiming straight for Denaya's mind through the maze of illusions. The Sentinel's core shrieks as it unleashes the psionic dissonance. The violet beam lashes out, seeking Denaya's mind, but the chaotic dance of her illusions confounds the machine's targeting logic. The energy blast tears through a phantom duplicate, dissipating harmlessly into the ozone-filled air. Denaya stands unscathed amidst the fading sparks of the failed attack. The floor shudders underfoot. Garian, the construct's flank, is exposed, and it is reeling from Velvet's shot.
The mountain cracks you. Now stone and sky shall crush what remains. Garian's massive form flows across the gantry, his heavy boots thudding against the metal as he closes the distance to the reeling crystal Sentinel Alpha. His twin ice axes hum, growing colder, shimmering with the raw power of a glacier's heart. With a roar that echoes the deep fissures of the earth, he brings the axes down in a devastating, dual strike aimed at the already fractured core of the construct. The earth consumes what defies it.
Garian's boots leave cracked metal in their wake as he charges. The air around him flash freezes, turning the steam into falling snow as he leaps, bringing the full weight of the mountain down upon the wavering construct. The twin axes bite deep, their glacial chill shattering the construct's structural integrity in an instant. There is a sound like a chandelier dropping from a great height, a chaotic, tinkling crash as Crystal Sentinel Alpha detonates into 1,000 inert shards. The violet light in its core flickers once, then dies. Silence rushes back into the chamber, heavy and cold, broken only by the rhythmic, psychic thrumming of the deep lens below. The path to the interface console is clear.
I approach the lens interface console, my eyes scanning the screens and levers as I speak in a calm, calculated tone. Now that the Sentinels are defeated, let's access the terminal and uncover the secrets it holds. Perhaps we can find a way to stabilize the deep lens and prevent further catastrophes.
Indeed, let us proceed with caution, Velvet. The secret hidden within the terminal may hold the key to understanding the true purpose of the deep lens. Garien, Lux, please stand ready, for we do not know what dangers or revelations lie ahead. As we access the terminal, he will maintain a vigilant watch, prepared to respond to any magical threats that may arise.
I smile weakly, still recovering from my earlier ordeal, and say, "Thank you, Denaya, for saving me back there. I'm grateful for your quick thinking and bravery. Now let's see what secrets this terminal holds. I'll use my healing magic to support us as we proceed, and if needed, I can call upon the power of the elements to aid us."
Your light is a precious thing, Lux. Let it grow strong again. I will be the stone wall against any further tremors this place unleashes, while Velvet seeks to unravel its dissonant song.
The echoes of battle fade, replaced by the deep, resonant thrum of the deep lens below, a sound felt in the marrow rather than heard. The air is cold and smells of ozone and ancient dust. As Velvet approaches the console, the dormant crystal monitors flicker to life, casting a pale, violet light across her face. The machine waits, its logic alien and complex. Velvet's fingers dance across the crystalline surface, finding rhythm in the alien chaos. The console shudders, and a sudden beam of light projects a rotating schematic into the air. It reveals the terrifying truth. The deep lens is not a telescope, but a cage. It projects a suppression field downward, keeping something vast and ancient asleep in the roots of the mountain. With the sentinels destroyed, the harmonic frequency has drifted. The projection pulses with a warning red glyph, indicating critical instability. The only way to prevent a psychic breach is to manually realign the resonance rings on the lens itself. Velvet leans into the projection, the violet light washing over her features. The holographic schematic resolves into a detailed 3D map of the deep lens assembly. The critical instability warning flashes rhythmically, linked to 3 specific magnetic flow regulators located along the service walkway. To stabilize the containment field, these 3 nodes must be manually decoupled and resynced in unison. The main console cannot do it remotely. It requires physical intervention at each point.
to sentinel.